Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Business Innovators Radio. I'm your host, Donna Gunter. Today we have with us Maria Allyn, Midlife Mastery Coach. Maria works with midlife women ages 45 through 60 who are feeling stuck, afraid, and can't seem to find a way to move forward. She partners with these women to find meaning and purpose during this transformative stage of their lives. Maria Allyn is a happily married mother of three who loves the satisfaction of coaching. She received her master's degree in organizational development and leadership coaching from the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. Welcome to the show, Maria.
Oh, thank you, Donna. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, Maria, every time I have an entrepreneur on the show like you are, I always like to ask them the same question, and that question is, what made you start this business?
Oh, my heavens. Well, I tell you, you never know where life is going to lead you. I decided to start my coaching practice because I realized that there had to be an epidemic of women who were suffering the way that I had suffered. As I started midlife and started transitioning through midlife, and I wanted to help them. I became passionate about helping those women.
And so what kinds of issues do midlife women face, Maria, that makes them great candidates for a midlife transition coach?
Oh, my goodness. Well, there are quite a few. The main ones that come to mind are issues dealing with fear. Am I going to be a bad woman? Am I going to have to give in to my physical ailments and suffer with those every day? Am I going to be what the media portrays as that lonely lady with, surrounded by cats? I mean, the media really does a job on midlifers. We're valid if we're firm, toned, and perky. And the reality of that is, once you hit your 30s, you're not anymore,
Right.
And
unless you're Demi Moore, who doesn't age.
Oh, who doesn't age at all, and who probably has some secrets that, we don't know about.
Right.
That's far and few between. So, so many a bill of goods that we've been sold that are just not accurate. And we've grown up with those, believing that once we hit, our mid-40s, getting close to 50, that we're really not vital anymore. And it's just so not the truth.
Well, I know at those ages, Maria, I see friends of mine going through this, facing the empty nest syndrome and figuring out what's next and, kind of looking at their spouse who they haven't really seen, for 20 years because they've been so focused on kids. What kinds of, what kinds of opportunities are available for women who are coming into this new age of their lives where they suddenly have themselves back again?
Oh, I tell you, after decades of serving children and husbands and managers and, whoever is on that list, they're finally at a stage in their life where they can be selfish. And that is a word that has always been frowned upon, growing up for many women. But it really is quite a positive one. We're at a time now where we can dedicate our time, our money, our wisdom into our own pursuits, whether that is starting a second career, whether that is involving yourself in a passion pursuit like art or dancing. This is a stage where we can just find out who we are, why we're here, and what makes us tick. It really is, it's a time where we can just really be liberated and just really find a lot of joy.
Yeah, I know with, baby boomers in particular, I work with a retirement coach, and a lot of the theme of her work, is that we're not going into the same kind of retirement that our parents went into, that our grandparents went into. And it really is a new time for people to find that passion, to really live a vibrant third stage of their lives.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And we talk about retirement. It really is a new age, when it comes to that. And what happens with the fear of, I'm going to use finances in retirement, is that if we're not prepared for it and if we don't have steps in place to move forward in a positive fashion, we become paralyzed. And our days are filled with obsessing over what will be, what will happen, instead of getting still, recognizing the fear that we have around it, and putting steps in place to be proactive and to live the life of our dreams. How can we take care of what we have? How can we take care of what we will have? And how can we benefit from that? We have a lot of power that we don't give ourselves credit for. And we just need to be reminded. And a midlife coach such as myself, it's one you can do it with compassion, be a cheerleader, but also hold you accountable, for moving forward.
Maria, we focused a lot on, women, because we're both women. What about the midlife man? Is he facing other kinds of challenges?
Yeah, the midlife man seems to delve more into the area of his virility from the research I've done. And they really
hence all the Viagra commercials.
Isn't that funny? With the one that drops on the car and makes it go vroom vroom. But they really are raised to be very virile and very macho and identify with their occupation. And old age, with any gender will cause them to slow down, and it's a very scary time for men. Now, they can either accept it and move through it positively, or else they can have the midlife crisis that is often heard about, joked about, where the sports car comes in and you have the blonde 20-year-old, that you trade your wife in for. So that's how men seem to accept it. Women seem to become paralyzed and seem to be saddled with anxiety, depression. You find them self-medicating with drugs and alcohol. You find them not being able to express these fears because they don't hear it from their peers. They think that maybe they're going a little crazy, and so they don't voice it. And so it really becomes a private tale that they build around themselves. So I really believe that it is a deeper, more emotional issue for women than it is for men. And because of that, and because I am a woman, I really focus on women in my practice just because I get it. I really do. I get it.
Yeah, I guess, as we women approach midlife, maybe we need some arm candy too, a younger guy on our arm and then a new car.
Why not? Why not? And that comes to being able to take that mask off, the one that we've been wearing for all those decades, because our true selves have been pushed down because we, have morphed into that wife who's the hostess or the mom who, does this or whatever. And it really is getting to the root of who you are, what's making you tick, and what's going to make you happy. Realizing what you're here for and moving forward. If that means a 20-year-old good-looking stud, hey, find that guy. If that means reconnecting and putting date night into place once again with your husband of 20, 30 years, do that. But it's based on what you need for your pursuit of happiness. And you ID that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When you were talking about the younger guy, I was thinking about something I saw on Facebook, and I don't remember the names of the stars that were used, but they were talking about things like, Jennifer Lopez was dating a guy half her age, and they named 2 or 3 other women, and the basis of the little meme was, well, relax, women, your husband hasn't been born yet.
Oh, isn't that the funniest thing? And you know what? When you are wealthy and glamorous and a star, it's seen as being like a perk of the trade. You're living that lifestyle. But what about the common, Maria Allyn? And I'm happily married. I'm throwing myself out there. Who may take that route? Media just really frowns upon it, and society frowns upon it. So you really have to have a good sense of self to be able to pursue, that path if that's what you choose to do. And by mastering midlife, you can do that.
Well, Maria, let's go back and talk a little bit about some of the symptoms that you mentioned, that people were self-medicating, they were depressed, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
What, if a woman doesn't realize what she's going through and just trying to figure out what the struggle is all about, do you have some tips on what she can do to start digging herself kind of out of this pit of despair?
Oh, absolutely. I think first and foremost, what this woman has to do is identify, what the heck am I afraid of? What is paralyzing me? Let me put a name to these fears. Is my fear that I'm going to be a bag lady? Is my fear that I'm going to be lonely and I haven't really had time to develop real friendships, and I'm too old to make friends and find a group, find a tribe? You have to identify what the fear is, what the obstacle is. Is my fear that if I retire, even though I've been working forever and, can do the job robotically, will I not know how to occupy my time? Once you've identified your fear, you've got to put an action plan in place. All right, gosh, what would I like to do when I retire? Well, you may think to yourself, you know what? I haven't done anything for myself for as long as I can remember. I don't know. My advice would be, look out, see what's going on in your community. Look in the papers, listen to the radio, talk to your friends. If you hear about a class that makes your stomach twinkle a little bit, sign up for it. Try it out. It may be the one, it may be not. If you've always wanted to learn about astronomy, if you've always wanted to be a makeup artist, whatever it is, take a class. Stick your foot in the water a little bit. See if it's for you. And if it is, the passion that it will spark will let you know. And if it's not, hey, you move on to the next. So there are things like that you can do just to find your center again, just to find that passion point that we each have. It's in there. It may be hidden a little bit, and we may have to get to it, but we each have a passion center that just lights us up and makes us want to have more hours in the day versus waiting for the day to get over so we can go to bed.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're excited to get up in the morning.
Oh, my God, nothing like it. There's nothing like it. I remember when I was in college, I'm just trying to identify that feeling of getting through something. I remember having a job as a telemarketer. And my Lord, I called people when they were eating. I mean, never when they were sick.
Right.
They were sleeping, when they had company. I hated the job. And I would go there every day dreading going through the front door instead of being proactive and saying, you know what, Maria, find another job. So, it's just that feeling of just, my God, I got to get through this versus being in a situation where, I don't want to go. I wish I had some more time in the day. It's a shift. But we can do that shift in any area of our lives once we identify it.
Well, Maria, I know one of the things that women go through, at this point in their lives is, having this change kind of come over them, trying to figure out what they're doing next, and making their spouse or their significant other, whatever kind of relationship they might be in, bringing that person along with them. Do you have any tips for making sure that you've got the support you need at home to move forward into this next stage of your life?
Oh, my, yeah, and it's such a good topic to delve into because, there are times when we're busy and years slip through our fingers that we turn to this guy once the house is empty and he's a stranger. It's like, I don't know what to talk about. And so it really takes, in my opinion, two things. It takes a commitment to each other to find that common ground, to build again, to reconnect and move forward. Maybe it's going to take a counselor. Maybe it's going to take a scheduled date night. Maybe it will take walks after dinner. And also, I think you really, after the commitment, you really have to learn how to communicate in a way that you not only deliver your message, but you can receive your partner's message. And I think if you can start with those two building blocks, you can reconnect and you can re-spark what was initially there.
Well, let's talk about the kids now. I know sometimes when women decide to jump into something new, you know, I'm a big fan of House Hunters on HGTV, and, you know, sometimes I'll see mothers or women who are in midlife, you know, suddenly decide to move from Colorado to Bali or to Costa Rica, and the kids are kind of freaked out. You know, I'm sure there are other situations when mom completely changes her job. How do you get the kids on board with this? You know, they see their mother becoming somebody they really don't know.
And I tell you, that's a tough one, because you're dealt with this person that you've been to your children for decades and this role that you've played in their lives. And that is the role of mom. And mom is stable. Mom is secure. Mom is, you know, we can depend on her. Mom is routine. Mom is calm. And, you know, mom is the rock. And then when your children do become adults and you start pursuing other avenues, you have to renegotiate that relationship with your adult children. They are your children, but they are adults. And based on that, they have to realize that they are dealing with another adult who has their own needs, their own desires, and they have to love you enough, which they do, but they have to link the love that they have with you with giving you the freedom to pursue what you need to pursue and cheer you on, whatever it may be. It's scary. And I think kids a lot of times don't realize that mom is a star. You know, they don't realize that mom can go out there and handle her own, and that mom really has it going on. And it's very threatening to children. But if you can renegotiate with them and, just switch it up a little bit, I think it'll work. You know, but hey, if you do have the dissatisfaction and if you're not able to cross that bridge with them, you gotta go on and pursue what you gotta do. I mean, you really do. You're responsible for this next part of your life, and you gotta do what you gotta do to be happy. That's really the bottom line.
I know it's sometimes difficult for kids, and I guess you could say this is another growth stage for them to realize that, mom is not sitting at home waiting for me, anxiously awaiting my next text or my next phone call, she doesn't live to serve me, and that's kind of a rude awakening, I think, for some kids.
It really, really is, and it's good for adult children, because not only is it taking off some of the guilt of having to be mom's occupation, and that can be a heavy guilt we put on our children, and also it provides your children with a healthy role model of someone who reaches a point in their life where they pursue their own happiness, and that's good any way you look at it. So, but it is tricky terrain. It's got to be done lovingly. But I do believe that it can be worked out.
Oh, I would agree. And I think it's a really, when you do that as a parent, I think you're becoming then a great role model for your own children and their own parenting. Not
absolutely.
to hover around your children, not to make your children the center of your universe.
Yeah, and we really do. I know a lot of young mothers, and I certainly did. My kids are, adults now. But I certainly remember feeling that mothering means being consumed by the well-being of your child, and, every burp had to be, tended to, and every, step you had to be hovering to make sure they didn't fall. And it really is a false perception of not only the world, but I think it really limits their ability to see that they can take care of themselves and that they have the ability to maneuver the world on their own. So I tell you, there's it's standard phrase. There are no self-help books. There are no tool books for the right way to mother. So you do the best you can. But it's tricky terrain. Yeah.
Well, Maria, I'm going to switch gears a little bit now and talk about the woman in midlife who potentially wants to switch jobs or switch careers. Is that a difficult type of thing to want to do because of the rumors or, what I hear about the prevalent ageism, sexism in the workplace?
Yeah, and it's out there. And I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think, though, when you're put in a position, no matter what the stereotype may be, if you go in there and you become an asset to whatever environment you're in, you will eventually have people come around and feel that you are of value to wherever you are. But, you don't want to go into a situation fantasizing that you are going to be the one who isn't going to have to go through the ageism that absolutely does exist. But, you go in and you do your job and you maintain your professionalism, and people will come around. People will come around. And I also think that your coworkers will realize that not only do you bring your professional presence, but you have some wisdom that the other coworkers haven't been able to obtain yet because of their years. And so you end up being the sounding board in a lot of cases. But you got to get through it. You got to get through those initial stages. But it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah. I mean, if you've been doing something for forever and ever, and you venture into another career that has always fascinated you, oh my God, the payoff far passes any sort of, obstacle that you may have to go through initially.
Well, I can imagine that you have to also set yourself up to acknowledge you can learn from those who are younger than you. I don't have the...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you said that, too. I'm so glad you said that. And I do hear from a lot of women who have not only gone back into a second career, but also gone back to school and obtained that degree they'd always wanted to obtain. That being around the younger minds was just stimulating. The energy that they bring with them, and just getting, there's such a refreshing, different take on life that just adds an invigorating, dimension to everything you do. So, it's definitely a win-win situation for both generations.
Yeah, I find that, I don't have the employment issue, changing careers kind of thing, because I've got my own business, work from home, but I do have to catch myself, as I go in to see doctors, for example, and they're, 25, 30 years old, and I kind of think in my mind, what are you, like 5? And, I've been here longer, and it's like, my clothes are older than you are.
Yeah, I want to see the real doctor, not the trainer here. Yeah, I mean, and we deal with our own stereotypes too, that we have to challenge and we have to work through. But, that's what makes life kind of neat, is that we come up upon these different views that may not necessarily be truthful, and that we're able to work through them and find a different way, It makes things interesting.
Absolutely. Well, Maria, this has been a delight to have you here. It's been a delightful conversation about women in midlife. How can our listeners get some more information about you?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because like I said, I'm very anxious to get this out and have people benefit from not only what I've been through, but what I know. I have a website. And your listeners can go on there. It's www.Maria, Maria, Allyn, it's funny, ALLYN.com. And I'll say it again. It's MariaAllyn.com. And when you go on there, you can sign up for my newsletter, and I give every 2 weeks lots of goodies, lots of expert advice, lots of fun things. There's also a private Facebook, my tribe, that they can get into, which offers lots of support, lots of community. And also, I'd like to offer your listeners a 30-minute consultation with me, and I'm sure they'll walk away with some sort of aha moment that applies to their life, and I think that would be valuable. So that's another way that they can get in touch with me and learn more about me.
Okay, Maria, thanks so much for being my guest today on Business Innovators Radio, and I thank all of you who joined us for today's episode of Business Innovators Radio. I hope you all have a great day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.